Let's go, let's go, let's go. What is going on, people? What is going on? It is Community Beacon. We are live. It's 2:00. I'm ready. I'm excited. This is gonna be a dope show. This is gonna be a dope show. I'm Mike Seville. I'm your local real estate.
That's the real estate king. That's who he is. The business mogul. That's who he is. He can't even say it for himself. Let me say it. You need somebody to say it. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. The business mogul. This is the man of men. When you're talking about men, that's him. There it is. Let's go.
I am him. And on the other side of the screen, of course, we got the incomparable Joel Simmons of the Tenacity Foundation. Shouts out to Joe. Joe got the brothers together last week. What was it? Saturday for the gathering.
Yeah.
You all ended up meeting downtown City Place. Moving, man. And I took part in the after normally on Fridays you'll hold a meeting, or we'll go on Zoom and we'll talk some fiery stuff, man. Some fiery stuff. So Joel, if you want to expound on it, and then we can jump into the show, because we do have a special guest and a long-awaited guest. So can't wait to have. I think he was on the show before. Brother Love was, but we'll get into it.
Man, that joke is already there. It's going to travel now. He's in the back studio. Just he can't even do anything about it because he's the guest on the show. So he just got to kind of like eat that one right there.
Yeah. So talk about the gathering. How was Saturday? And let's talk about it.
Yeah, man. Quick. Listen. The gathering is doing well. We're definitely grateful for all of these men that have come together to be a part of it. I was actually just speaking with a gentleman today in one of the city hall offices, and he was talking about how he can get his men to be a part of the gathering. So we have this meeting coming up next week. It's growing. But I just love that there is organic development. Mm-hmm. A non-judgmental space. Everyone is in there. There's all different types of cultures. There's all different types of positions, therapists, counselors. But then there's also the real estate agent, as well as the business entrepreneur. There's so many different avenues, and they can connect as much as they want. The network is there. They've definitely been brought together in the same place. So I'm grateful. And I'm even more grateful for the changes that men have been able to receive in some way, shape, or form, or part by being a part of this gathering. So that's it, my man. Y'all come on, jump on in. The link is down inside of the description. If you want to jump in, you'll get a phone call from me, or you'll get a text message from me, and I'll be asking you a couple of questions about, how you want to come in and how you want to be a part. After that, jump on in.
Awesome. All right, guys, you all see the title, and we're unleashing the power of self-reflection and emotional intelligence. And without further delay, without further delay, shouts out to Toastmasters, we're gonna bring up our guest. It's a brother of mine. I've been knowing, he's my son's godfather. Been knowing Beethoven for about 10, I don't know, man, 15 years? Man sent a picture today in the text message, and the text message thread from like 2008 was that picture. So 12, 16. And if you see the picture, you're like, what is going on?
I got to see if I can get it on the screen. I hadn't moved it from the cell phone, but y'all might see it. If y'all see it, just know that these brothers, they're not like that anymore.
No, I'm like that. No, I am 1,000%.
Okay, never mind. There it is.
Yeah. I am like that.
Brother Love.
I am for sure like that. For
Brother
sure.
love.
You know what? I'm a more refined that, but I'm not. It's still Mike. I'm just more refined than, than I was back then. My clothes fit a little bit better. My clothes are a little bit more fitted. But anyways, forget all that. We have the brother of the hour that our special guest today. Last week we brought Pastor Ferguson on to get his take on the conversation that we had last week, which was we were talking about anger, we were talking about jealousy. Man, go back and watch that episode. It was awesome. And this week we do have the man with the master plan. Man, when we talk about community beacon and when we just talk about community, this brother has been in at least the South Florida, every community he's been in, he's actually been a part of it. But as far as the South Florida community, from Rivera Beach all the way down to Miami, played a huge part the last 15, 16 years. One of the things that really sticks out into my mind was there was a building in Rivera Beach, a cafe hub, and at the time, I mean, probably probably one of the most futuristic concepts we could have had in South Florida at the time. I remember sitting at, and there was like a poetry night that I went to, and I just looked around and I looked at all the people that he brought together during that time, and I mean, it was just an amazing point within our community and our history of Palm Beach. That has to go down. That poetry night has to go down as probably a huge and significant event that took place over the years. And I've been in Palm Beach a long time. I pretty much grew up here. So for that to have happened in Rivera Beach Cafe Hub is definitely a staple. Now we've gone on to bigger, better, broader. Move. We just keep going and we keep going because you can't. I wanted them to come into that song. You can't keep a good man down. But shouts out to my brother from another mother. If you all don't know, I'm gonna introduce the gentleman, not brother Love, but Beethoven Francois.
Listen,
Beethoven.
I thought I was about to go into a boxing match the way y'all was going. Boy, that's like, man, I might have to bring y'all to everything I go through just for the intro. You guys are sharing it on social media also, or
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
live. We're live
yeah,
on
live.
Facebook, live on YouTube, live on
Live on
Instagram. It looks like.
Instagram.
you
Yep.
know, that's what I'm proud of y'all, man. New studios, big up, big up the new studios, the colors, the lighting. Well, y'all
It
whole
works.
professionals out here, man.
But we got it from. I mean, come on.
No,
When
Yeah,
we,
whoa,
man.
yeah, yeah,
whoa,
yeah.
now, whoa, now.
A lot of the things that, especially when we're talking about taking things to the next level, when we're talking about, because you're almost, I would high performance. I'm not going to call them a
High
perfectionist. I'm going to
performance.
say high performance.
Appreciate it.
When it comes to these different things, because you know me, I'm just like, listen, man,
Execute.
just throw. Just throw me up there. Pull, pull out the flip phone camera and turn it on. I'm ready to go. And the brother would be like, "Well, you need it, check out your lighting, get your audio is important. Yeah, this is important. Yeah, this is important. You want to do this. Look at this. This is how it goes." So, if we even where we are now, I definitely would have to give you your flowers on that,
Thank you,
in
Yeah.
man.
regards to making us achieve to the high level. And that's what this stuff is about. I like to say that I like to curate my ecology, meaning my people, places, and things. I like to curate them because I want to be on the optimal level. I don't want to be the smartest person in the
Mm.
room. I want to surround my people who are striving for excellence. And so that's part of it. Although I just got this one light, I did go out and get the super expensive headphones, and I got a super expensive webcam. But because if I let Beethoven take me down that path, I would have spent like $100,000
On one camera.
on one
That's
camera.
where it's
But
at, huh?
yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
but
But go ahead.
I'm sorry to cut you brothers off, but
No,
I
no,
definitely
no,
want
no.
to give you guys your flowers for consistency. Um, I think for me, I always get impressed when I go on social media and your platform, and I still see you guys going. That the level of consistency is unmatched. I see a lot of brothers start. People in general start and just find a way to give in because it didn't happen the way they
Yeah,
expected it to happen. And you guys are a true definition of a journeyman to really keep that journey going. I remember Mike spoke about this years ago when he said, I want to make this for my children, that they
Mm,
could see, my journey, my growth from wherever I started and just how you brothers came together and just, keep this journey going, man. It's definitely impressive, man. Congratulations on your consistency, man. But
mm.
yeah, I didn't know the conversation, but this conversation sounds like it's about to be in real. I thought we were just gonna have some fun and I could get up out of here real quick. But I knew better
Appreciate
though. I knew better. Just overall, man, I'm proud of you guys, man. Joe, what you've done. First of all, Joe went from not even know how to turn his phone on to
you.
now he's now now.
Hey, you put it like that, man.
I mean, Joe, it was bad, Joe. It was bad. You just knew how to flip your flip phone up, and that was it. So now the technology. I mean, I'm proud of you guys. Joe's on social media. Come on, man.
Come on. Yeah.
Joe's on social media.
Yeah.
Thank God for Kathy because I know she did it for him. But that's another story. That's
out to
another
Kathy.
story, man. Shout out to
That's
Kathy,
another one.
man. That's another one. And the kids, because I know
Yeah.
I cannot give you all the credit for that. But man, thank you guys, man. I appreciate whatever we're about to talk about. My goal is to be authentic.
Hey, man.
That's it. That's
That's
who
all I
you are,
know.
man. You always bring the
Absolutely.
authenticism. So that's just who you are, man. That's one thing. And you talking about consistency. Well, that's your big consistency right there. Is that whenever you show up, you are exactly who you are, and we don't have to
Mhm.
worry about there being a different person.
Yep.
You don't wear a mask. If you had a mask on, that was taken off many, many years ago. So definitely appreciate that. I love to surround myself around men that take pride in who they are. Y'all know how I am. I'm a non-judgmental man. I just like to be around people that are real and that also have the ability to benefit me. Like I need to grow. I need to be
Hmm.
around people that are growing. And if
Mhm.
you're growing in a certain direction, I'm not growing in that direction, but hey, listen, I could glean something that I
Yep.
need to be around you, man. I'll come and work in the field, you know,
Mhm.
just for the gleanings. I'm just looking for the gleanings, and at some point in time, maybe I have my own field, and then
I'm.
somebody can come and work in my yard and they can get the gleanings, and so that's where we at, man. That's where we at. It's legacy development in the real deal. Three men sitting here and the fourth man's not here with us right now, but three men sitting here and we're talking about development and growing, and it's true. It's true. You definitely have seen it amongst
You know,
these brothers here amongst
I,
you.
I, I want to talk a little about the real quick, man, because for people that's in the journey, also, you speak about authenticity and always being me. So I've been through different journeys in life, from where I'm from to where I am now, and there was a stage in my life where I thought about trying to be. It's a thing like
Mm.
where I try to be this, I try to be that, and it was never fitting. I was looking at different how we met. I was studying other men to see, because I learned a lot from my father.
Right.
Then I started studying other men to see, am I supposed to be a little bit like this, a little bit like that? And I didn't understand my standards and so many different things through the whole story, through that journey. But the moment I realized it was difficult to be something else, that was it. Like that's when I locked in. I was like, oh, I'm not that. I'm
Right.
not him. I don't wear a 7-piece suit, but I also know how to put on a suit.
Right.
I'm not this, I'm not that. And for me, I was never the most educated, or I was never the most whatever, but I would always show up. And especially then I learned to show up as me. And when I learned that I'm great, I understand my identity. I'm not perfect. That's all I had. Like I'm gonna show up every day as me. So any brother that's going through that journey of trying to find out who he is, what he is, and what direction he should go to, man, you got to just trust yourself and say,
That's
So
"This is who I am," and get some type of standard for it. But go ahead, my brothers.
yeah. So the question that I have for you, just because you jumped really right into it, because that's the whole part of self reflection. Is like at what point? Because I could resonate with the trying to be right, or seeing people now. It's almost bright as day because you can see people who are trying to be, because we've
Yeah,
already
yeah.
been there. So for you and brother and Joel as well, if this also resonates with you, when did you kind of hit that point, or what made it? Was there a certain thing that happened? Was there a certain stimulus that occurred to make you say, okay, I'm tired of trying to be someone else. Let me be me.
Mm.
You know, for me, man, I'm gonna be super transparent on this show.
Appreciate that.
I believe that's my purpose and what God has for me to do. I believe it started first when I wanted to become a Masonic man, you
Mm.
know,
Okay.
and then when I got married, I was just coming off the port, you know, I was just coming off the streets. I didn't know what it was really like. I tried to get a 9 to 5. I was trying to be so many things that I really had no idea. I didn't know which way to.
Uh-oh. He's probably getting a phone call. The brother, we should have told him
Yeah.
to put the phone on D&D, but we know whenever we go through these technical issues, so we need to write that down for the guests. Put the phone on do not disturb. But when
Yeah.
we get into when we have these technical issues that we're normally gonna have a really good show. Brother, if you could talk until he gets here, what about you? What was like did that resonate with you? What he was kind of saying, and was there a point in life when you just thought the best you was the authentic you?
Man, it resonates big time, big time. And just, I mean, listening to what he was saying, I was really digging in because I wanted to hear that. That's the purpose behind that show. It starts with me.
Hmm.
It's about when is that day, and I think I've spoken about it before. So those that have viewed and have watched many of these shows, maybe they caught it before. But for me, it was like there was a point in time when I realized, oh, hold on, let's go back to his story. We can come back to mine. Go ahead, I'll let you do it.
My bad, fellas. You hear me?
Yeah,
Put
yeah,
your
yeah.
phone on do not disturb.
Man, you know
I,
how busy you are.
yeah,
You know how productive
no,
you
but
are. You know how many people are looking for you.
Yeah,
that's that's what I'm gonna do.
yeah. We
Uh,
put the phone on do not
I
disturb.
do that.
We got you right now. We
So like airplane mode, is that what it is?
No, no, no. Do not disturb. Look for do not disturb on the phone. It should say focus. Click the focus,
Oh
and
yeah.
then do not disturb will pop up for you.
Oh, that's big time, man. This is.
I've become very acquainted with do not disturb.
So am I on that? Am I right now?
Do
Am I?
not disturb. You're not on the screen. You got to come back to Chrome or whatever
So what y'all trying to say? I'm old right now. I was just
internet
I
internet
was
thing you're
talking
using.
bad about Joel, and look what I'm doing.
That's all right. That's all
Yeah,
right, man.
yeah. Gotta
That's all
humble
right.
you.
Bring it back. Bring it back.
Go
Bring
ahead.
it
We're
back.
with you.
Yeah, so I think for me, the journey began, man. Of I became a Masonic. What you guys know, because you guys are my cable tow. We went on this journey, man, because it's like my father is a blue collar, hard working Haitian man.
Yeah.
And his principles, his values are super consistent. He's how he moves, everything he does. You know what my father is gonna bring when he shows up. But I also was in the process of studying other men around me. You know, this guy, he gave me a little coward vibe. This guy gave me a little. I'm gonna be super transparent with again. Like he acts like a sucker sometimes. This guy is super holy. It was so many different identities I was witnessing, and I was trying so hard to be a good man. First of all, I was trying extremely hard to be a husband. I was trying to be uh, a stepfather. I was trying to be a businessman. There was so many different identities at one time.
Wow.
I don't know which way to start. Like I'm like, yo, where do you start? Where do you get information from? My father's like, go to work, take care of your family, figure it out. Then I seen entrepreneurs. Then I see Jay Z. So I'm all over the place. So then it's like, you know, I then moved to Riviera. I then went my office. I went from West Palm Beach to Riviera Beach, and I moved to Singer Island. Then it was another layer of I'm not corporate enough. Then I started hanging with, you know, I hate to make you know, color it, but wealthy white people. Then I wasn't this enough. Then I went to the West Side. Then I
Mm.
wasn't this. I was all over the place, man, and so many different transition in my life. I'm maturing, learning how to be, and going back to within, that's when I started realizing, you know what, man, y'all can have this. This ain't for me. I got to be authentically me. That's the best me that I could produce. I'm open to learn and grow. I'm open to take wisdom from the guys that are women, men, whoever that's pouring out wisdom. I'm looking for authenticity from them. And I realized when I was chasing happiness at one time, I realized I was more happy when happiness was a thing. So when I was like, oh man, like this, that's when I realized that, you know what, man, I'm gonna just consistently be me, the best me that I could be, show up, willing to learn, and just my circle, our circle of people that we're around. I think people don't understand how much Mike and I challenge each other for greater every chance we get, and it was like we always came back to what's the true us. So that's all I knew. So that's my journey came from kind of go back to. It went from when I decided to become a Masonic man, I was looking for other
Mm.
male figures to give me some wisdom. When I got married and wanted to become a husband, a step, like all these titles that I had no idea about. And just really overall, man, just I wanted greater. So
Mm.
I didn't realize the best thing to do was trust my heart. That's a long answer.
I got a question for you with that. Do you and you may not have thought about this because I can hear the entire story like unfolding and I can see you going there and reminiscing about those different parts in life. And sometimes change is like a process, right? Sometimes you change inside of your mind, but then there's a process before that change enters into the mind. There's a lot of absorption. There's a lot like a sponge. You have to absorb certain things inside of you, and then once you absorb enough, like for instance, a sponge, if you put soap on the edge of the sponge, any side, it just looks like soap, Dawn soap. But then when you add a little bit of water and you start to squeeze that sponge and you start to work it in, then all of a sudden you get foam and a change begins to become more apparent. But it takes a little bit of work. It takes a little bit of massaging. And so I'm listening and I'm watching as you're going through these different phases in your life. And I'm just curious, have you ever thought about that moment when the soap became foam,
Pause.
when
But
the raw material became the evidence of the change?
Mm.
um probably today, probably now. I think I'm so used to just adjusting and pivoting that I now really get a chance to look at my life and the journey that I've been in and understanding that to the point now I could even see what brand of soap that I'm using. Before I was just speaking of the sponge, like that sponge theory you're talking about, you got to be also careful what type of liquid that you let in your sponge.
Mm.
Because you being a sponge and walking and going through different things, at times you might not realize you're putting some bad soap on your sponge. So
Mm-hmm.
you're open to grow and you open to go through this journey and you're sitting there hoping that you're able to get information. And there's a time of my life where you got to be careful who's pouring in you, who's
Yep.
pouring on you. You got to be very careful about that because not everybody's intention is pure or good. But then also you're at a capacity where you're so like a true journeyman that really want to thrive and be super successful in life in all different capacities, not just financially, just in all different capacity. He's hungry.
Mm.
Some days he might move like he's thirsty, but he's super hungry and he's willing to let people pour into him, and it gets difficult, man. So I think today, to answer your question, I am now understanding like the sponge theory you're talking about, where I could see and I could understand and I could feel, and I'm wired differently, where I'm more obedient, more patient
Mm.
with the learning, with the process. Like, oh, this is crazy. I don't have to be here. Oh, this is this, or this is that, or this is this. And I'm still open. I'm still open to grow. I'm still open to learn. but I am now careful where I lay my sponge down.
Mm.
That's important. That's the biggest thing that I've learned. Is like, okay, I can't put it here. No, this ain't for me. You know,
I,
but I have one last thing. It goes
no,
back
go
to
ahead.
though, like Mike and I and other, you know, just my family in general. We go back to what's our standards, right? I think the more I learn about my standards, the more I understand where I want to lay my sponge down. Because if you have no standard, nothing to stand on, and you really don't have that true honesty with yourself, you liable to get trick off your thing all day long.
Amen.
You get a sponge. You get a sponge. You like you Oprah out
You
here. You
get it.
giving everybody a sponge. Like, so for me, I'm really in a capacity where it's like I understand, you know, I'm a sponge and I got to be careful where I lay that thing down.
So from that statement, so many gems that's being dropped. I heard like discernment is part of it, which goes with the emotional intelligence. So as you continue to grow, it's like you started to discern between these different things. Like where is this liquid coming from? What am I sponging up in order to make this soap? And then is this what I'm sponging up and making this soap? Is it being fruitful within my life? I like when the brother Joe just asked you a question. He's like, when does this occur? When does this happen? You didn't give a specific date. You said today. You said now.
yeah.
So it's like this is happening in the present moment, which is in alignment with what you said of what growth and wisdom looks like, because growth and wisdom is happening now. Another huge point that you made at the beginning was when you kind of spoke about the trying, and you equivocated trying, or you equaled up trying to never enough. As long as you're trying, you will never be enough, because
Mm,
your mind is on something else. So like just through this entire process, or you being this true journeyman, you're starting to pick up these different things in your old age. That's what it is.
whew, big
and you
age.
and you get in our old age, and we're blessed to be the age that we are, to be honest with you. And I love the best me showing up, all these different things, and juggling these things, and juggling being an entrepreneur, juggling being a husband, juggling being a father, like all these different things, along with these different thought processes and these values, and ultimately saying that you have to have a standard. Now, about 3 weeks ago, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, we had a conversation on the same show where we said, like, how much time are we spending on figuring out what our values slash standards are? Like, what are the things in life that we have set up to say, this is what we kind of believe in, and this is what we stand on, so that we can become more intentional. And you brought up it being your going back, because you mentioned your father several times during this thing. So how, in regards to your development, how big of a role did your father or your culture play?
Man, so those are two huge pieces. Between my father and my culture, that's the foundation. You know, my father didn't do a lot of talking about how to be a man. He showed me the way he moved. When I started learning more about, you know, becoming a man and what a man looks like, and all these other, I guess, theory that we come up with, whatever. You know, you said a word earlier. I was like, I've never heard that word before, so I'm not even gonna try to do this to myself. No, but I think my father, my father and my culture is everything, man. You know, I watch how my father stepped up as a man and just handle his responsibility. You know, as far as taking care of his children, as far as treating my stepmother like, you can't play with his wife. Don't play with him, and don't play with his wife. He stand on that. How my father, he showed, like I remember my father used to have us dig holes in the back, and I was like, "What are you doing? Like, why? Like, I'm 14. You have me digging holes, like I'm trying to go play some type of sport." But meanwhile, I was so like thinking about going to play basketball or something, that he was putting like corn, and as we walk, and then he'll have us fill it back up and and step on it. I'm like, what is this man got us doing? I'm clueless. Next thing you know, I see a whole backyard of corn and all type of fruits and vegetables, not even realizing the process. So when I think today where I am, I think about the process of I'm able to go really grow my own food. Little do I, I'm able to do so many things. But then the joy he got was even more special to me when he was giving out the fruit to his friends in the community, in the church. So it was like he had his sons dig the hole. He grew the plant, took the plants into the community and gave it out to his people in the church. Like, that man was so excited when he was able to give tomatoes. Like, dude, you something wrong with you. Like, why are you so excited about tomatoes? But my father has this thing that I was able to witness in the culture, being a Haitian man, the culture of coming together and sticking together and building with each other, and just that community, man, did so much for me to actually be open to building relationships with different people, and and being able to build something together, man. So my father and my culture definitely created a standard for myself and just men in my family in general. We're still hard-headed. We still go through our differences, but I gotta give the grace and I gotta give the credit to my father and my grandfather, and the legacy that they built of just a standard how we move. So,
man, you see, I'm toying around a little bit with the screens, man. I'm trying to highlight you, man. I'm like, this guy, he is on a roll right there. I think that's what it's all about, though. It's that real piece, though. I think that's what everybody's looking for. And I saw Eusebius pop up there.
Yeah, shouts out to Eusebius.
Yeah, definitely. That was our instructor. He was the one who, we worked inside of his house. The man brought us into his house, 4 brothers, brought us into his house, and he taught us about what that line was all about and about keeping that connection. And that connection, Mike said it a long time ago. He said, if there was anything, if nothing, actually you said it, B, if nothing else ever happened with what we did, at least you knew you had brothers. And that has been a tried and proven thing up until this day. So like when I'm thinking about what you're saying, it just goes into more depth of what it was that you had to overcome in order to be who you are. And I think that that's something else that, after all of the successes that you've been able to have, and I've been around just long enough, known you just long enough to have seen you hit high levels and then come back down and then go back up. And I think that inspires me. Like, I think about that, because everybody, all of these quote unquote successful people that people are chasing on social media, and I'm just saying it the way that I see it, but it's like you can't touch them, you don't know them, but it's like I'm sitting in this room, so to speak, this virtual room with 2 brothers, and I'm able to touch them, I'm able to see them, and I'm able to know the things that they are actually going through. This is no snapshot of the greatest day in the greatest moment that ever happened. This is like, roll the cameras. When do I turn it off? Never. Never. It never goes off because I am with me all the time. And so when you start to talk about the friendship and the brotherhood that is developed, and you get a chance to see a man go through the going through, and learn how to accept himself and humble himself and raise himself. Woo! That's next level. Like, you don't get a chance to do that. Guys and men and women are traveling across the nation and maybe across the world to find somebody that is doing what they desire to do just so they can be around them. Because the gleanings is real. And I love what you were talking about, the sponge. The piece when you said I have to be careful, you said you have to be careful where you lay your sponge down. Too many people are not getting the soap. They're getting the grease. They're
Mm,
getting the oil, and it's clogging up the pores. And when it
Facts.
comes time to wipe clean, they can't. They leave a trace. They leave a trace behind them, and it contaminate whom
Mm,
and what they are helping.
that's powerful. That's big. I want to add something to that too, though. Two things I want to add to for what I talked about a little while ago with my father's activities and what you're just saying right now, Joe. Like once you get that oil on your sponge, you now are spreading oil around without even realizing it.
wow.
That's the crazy part. Like some people are raising children with bad oil, are raising, they influence other people with bad oil. You don't even realize that because it's all liquid. So you thinking like this is soap, but meanwhile it's oil. But let me give you something that really I think it's important for me to talk about in my journey that I've been through in building businesses and wins and L's and all these other things. I remember in the process of building Cafe Hub, there was a process of me closing Cafe Hub, and this is where it goes. You gotta be like for me. I witnessed my father being such a community driven person in his community. I remember I put everything on the line for the community. And I never forget when we were at the Haitian restaurant on birthdays in Fort Lauderdale. I don't know if I was on the phone with you or you were there. You were like, I think I was listening to some TD Jakes. We were talking about something. You were like, well, basically, I'm putting my community before my family.
That's big.
I did not even realize I was so intense and winning and growing and building that I focused on the community development, the community growing before I focused on my family. I had no clue. I was like, I'm gonna win. I'm a dog. I'm for real about my winnings. Like
Mm.
I don't know how to quit. Like I'm not. You're gonna literally have to pick me up and put me out. But I know now how to adjust. That's another thing. That's another
Ooh.
conversation.
Ah.
But I really,
Ah.
really had to understand while you're building something, never forget your foundation and the people that you are building it for. I was so busy building something that I forgot the people that I was building it for. Like it was so dark, and I'm just, oh, I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna get it. The mentality that I was raised on. And I promise you, brothers, while you're building something, never forget the people you're building it for, or you'll lose them.
That is some self-reflection and
Facts.
that that is some deep self-reflection. And I'll go on. We had what was the show? The Male Perspective. I remember having a conversation with a guy, and his father was this big well-to-do within the community. Everyone knew him. He was, this is back in the 60s and 70s. So there was this pro-black movement going on. Rivera Beach was the place to be, one of the biggest and fastest growing black communities in the South at one point in time. I mean, actual home owners, like people who own the homes and wanted to move the city in a certain direction. And this guy's father was a part of it. And everyone knew him in the community. He was always out there helping. But here's this guy probably in his 50s, somewhere around his 50s. And his biggest regret was that his dad didn't spend time with him. Now, this is the family that's really going to be lamenting you. After a while, you're not going to, these outside people aren't going to be visiting the graves. Heck, some of these people aren't even going to donate towards the funeral if it needs to be.
Mm.
You find out a lot that some of our real civil rights leaders died broke. Their families have nothing to show for it. There's a certain kind of legacy and narrative that's put out there. However, ultimately, the families suffered. The immediate families. These are the people who are going to speak at your funeral. These are the people that's going to continue going 1 year, 2, 5, 7 to 10 years down the line. That's returning back to your grave, and that's really carrying on your quote unquote legacy. but we're going out into this community and we're not taking care of home essentially, and even before that, you're not taking care of yourself sometimes. So if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not taking care of home, but you're out in the community essentially with an empty cup, and the people that are closest to you are suffering because of it. Like, these are conversations that we have to have. And I tell any of these men that I run into, I say, listen, you got to take care of yourself. There's a lot of things that's coming out of this, and it may look good. And they'll, don't get me wrong, they'll celebrate you for however long you could put out this energy and you could come forward. But just as quickly as they'll celebrate you, they'll also tear you down.
Facts.
These same people who are, cheering for you. And look at any of our super the people around. I mean, just take, if you really look at the history of it, the same people that were putting you up on this pedestal are going to be some of the same people who are tearing you down. And who do you have that's sitting down there in your corner? So that's huge self-reflection.
I want to add
Go.
one more piece to it that you just said, Mike, which is part of the identity growth. I never wanted to be a civil rights leader. I wanted to be a businessman. But when you're in the journey of trying to find out your identity while you grow, I was around local leaders, I was around businessmen, but meanwhile, I just wanted to be a businessman. I didn't come into this. I wanted to bring value into the community as I build my business. But I was so into the development of the people and the growth, and I put this whole journey on my back that somebody else gave me years ago. I remember my godfather told me, when is someone gonna step up and be a next Martin Luther King? That was like 10, 20, like 15. It gotta be like 18 years ago. He told me that, and I owned it. I was like, ooh, yes. Man, no, I don't want to be that. That's not what I'm here for. But when a brother is going through a journey, he has to really understand the identity of what he's going for. Like you could, and the thing is, let me be very frank. You cannot impact the way you probably want to impact broke. I know there's a lot of things we could do spiritually. I'm all for it. I still haven't seen somebody. I mean, of course, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but you got to get some money. Ultimately, my brother, go get some money, and then impact as you grow. But like you said, I used to continuously look for people to pour it back into my cup. You in trouble. You better find that. And most likely is home, but you're so busy running around chasing that you never get the opportunity to actually get filled back up to go back out there. So
I want to come in on that point right there, because you touched back on something that Mike had said and reverberated it. And like for you, man, I 100% I'm with that. Like that whole piece about finance and everything, that's a very real conversation. And, I'm grateful that I've started to learn how to create finance, because it's like everywhere. And so how you make your finance is a different story. And that's something there's a growth process in that. And sometimes, like you used to tell me all the time, I took the L, there's sometimes you got to take L's, and just have that persevering type of mode mentality in order to get up and keep going.
And that L is not lost; it's always lesson.
Learning. Yep.
That's it.
Always.
It's about
I've
the
never
lesson.
lost. I've never lost.
I love that. Because I mean, at the end of the day, that's really what makes the difference, right? Is the lesson. I'm glad you made that clear. But so a couple of things that I heard and what you were saying, and I'm gonna go back to that thing you touched on and Mike touched on. It was like scripts, narrative. Like we talked about that so much. In the course of a self-reflection, it is the best opportunity to realize whether or not the script, the narrative that you're playing inside of your mind is actually yours.
Big.
For me, it took me time. Like I'm grateful for Precious Daddy Cunningham, my mentor, the leader of the United House of Prayer. Like what he brought into my life about 9-10 months ago, while I'm sitting there and I'm working with my son for his spiritual development and I'm watching him grow. And I get a chance to go and sit down with this man, and he dropped this knowledge on me that was so heavy. And he's like, I'm praying for you. And he looks at me and he tells me, I tell him some of the things in my aspiration. He said, that works for you. And I ran with those words. And this man he's going across the nation healing people. We've got such an influx in the church. It is so tremendous. I'm talking about 100-fold is what's happening. We're bursting out the seams. You can't get a seat. Don't tell the fire marshal. I mean, it's like that. That's what's going on because of the way his delivery is and the simplicity of his word. But nonetheless, my point, what he dropped on me, it sent me into this mode of contemplation. I put everything on hold, everything. And I just stopped, and it was like, it was strange. I started thinking, dude, I can't do anything. I don't have the desire. Like, I just talked to this man and told him what I would do. And he said, that works for you. And now, ever since I walked out of his hotel room, listen, let me tell you, this is big man, y'all. Big man, right? We're talking about diplomat, license plates. Like, don't pull him over at all. Doing 120. Don't pull him over. You can't. Diplomat, right? He cleared the room at the hotel so that I could sit in there with just me and my son. Everybody, security, everybody. There was nobody inside the hotel room but him, me, and my son. And he had a one-on-one with us. This is big, right? And so he dropped this on me. And when I left, instead of me going back to what I was doing, I could not. I was stuck. So I did all these things that you talk about, the sponge. I took all these things that I had drawn in. And I figured it's time for contemplation. Boom, dropped on my son. Spiritual development. All right, let me do that. Okay, contemplation. I can't do nothing. Before you know it, man, I started to realize something. And I believe that's where it is, man. It's in the middle of that contemplation that you get to realize what script you are actually running by. Is this your movie, or are you just an actor? That thing hit me. And so I couldn't move. I didn't do anything. Just praying, meditating, going to service, nothing else. And I'd be sitting there talking with Mike, telling him about everything that's going on, these different changes inside my mind. And I'm like, meanwhile, there's certain parts of my world that were crashing. And it's like, nope, don't touch nothing. Let it crash. Let it burn. Sometimes you got to let the ships burn. You got to let the old life burn.
Sorry. I apologize because I thought Joel lost it. I did not know he said ship. It threw me off guard real quick, fellas. I am so sorry. I said, wait a minute here. Please continue. Oh man, that just threw me off.
I get you. That's
do
all
it.
right though. That speaks a lot to my character that would happen. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's right. Way to come back. Come back, bro.
It tells me a lot about the thought process. Listen, man, I don't want to keep going down that route with that conversation because that's really what it was. It's just that whole thought about that contemplation. But the thing that you and Mike were discussing, Mike, he brought it up and you brought it back. And he was talking about going into the community. And he said, sometimes we don't realize that our cup is empty. And I just thought about it while he said that. I said, sometimes we don't realize our cup is full. It's full of the narratives. It's full of, so many false beliefs. It's full. It's so full that when you meet the person, I used to tell people, I said, man, sometimes opportunity will knock on your door, but you don't know it. You're too full of your own way. You're too full of your own mind. You're too full of everything you don't need. And then going back to sponge theory, you have soaked up so much garbage that you are too full to receive what you need. Our late leader, Daddy Bailey, he used to tell us, he said, the greatest giver is the greatest receiver. He says, sometimes you can't get nothing because your fist is like this. You so full trying to hold on to the things you got, and your life has been shaking you to get rid of it, to let it go. Let it ebb and flow and then move. So man, I'm like all in this thing, because in the last little piece of what you said, don't lose focus. And it just, as soon as you said that, it reminded me of Peter. Like all these disciples on the boat trying to do what they believe they're supposed to do, which is cross the sea. And they see in the middle of the night, like a ghost, Jesus walking across the water. And they say it's a ghost. All of these men, they all are part of the same group, the same gang, the same clique, the same family. They all get scared. But Peter was different. He said, is it you? He said, yeah. Well, if it's you, then I don't know that it's you. I don't know it. But if it is you, tell me to walk on the water. What? I got a 50-50 shot that this thing that I see in the middle of a storm, walking on the water, something that does not happen, is the one that I believe in. And now he said, and now I'm asking him, if it is you, tell me to walk. He said, well, come on, walk, man. And he does it. And it's like, just don't lose the focus, because the same one who told you can walk on the water will keep you walking on the water.
You know, there's something I want to add on to the conversation about sometimes your cup being full. So, you know, in my journey in this relationship, marriage thing, and life, which I'm definitely a journeyman in that world. I went through a season in my life where I had to understand what a pruning season is.
Ooh.
So I had to understand that the pruning season and the unlearning, you know, is super, super important for men in their journey. You got to take 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is, to actually declutter and get rid of some stuff. Because, you know, I had a nice lady just had a conversation with me one time. She was like, you know, your identity. You know, I'm Beto to my family. I'm Hove to the outside people. And I'm Beethoven to friends and family, you know, things like that. So I lived in so many different identities that at times I thought I had to throw one identity away, keep one. Yeah, like I was going through so many different changes in life until I got to the point where it's not about getting rid of anything. It's about adjusting some things. Like it's just you got to be open to one. Like I said, empty the cup, throw everything away, and rebuild it back up. You know, if people could hear like you said about that picture, I think if people could hear Mike and I conversation when we were in that picture and where we are now, a lot of it's still going to be consistency because we always wanted to win. We always wanted to grow and develop. But now we're so focused on developing as men that we don't even get into, Jesus Christ, Joe, put that picture down. I wasn't really telling you to put the picture up.
That's
I
it.
think
That's
back
it.
then we were so enthusiastic about winning and building and growing and being rich that we're still in that journey. But now we're so focusing on talking as men and like,
Yeah.
yo, do you know this? Or hey, look at the chart. Hey, look. But I wasn't even able to receive things from relationships I've been in or friends I have around because I was so filled up with noise that I had to do the pruning season. I had to go to therapy. I had to get a coach. Not I
Speak on
had to.
therapy going to speak on
Yeah,
therapy.
but I think there's a big difference because had to. I had to. I learned this a little differently. I learned this. It's a little different now. So now it's about aligning with different things. I look at things differently where it's like, okay, oh, now I understand why my coach is pouring into me this way. Now I know why this therapy is this. Now I understand. But if I kept that same filled up cup and
Mm-hmm.
not willing to, so I used to hear people talk, and to the point I got to where I started listening to people.
Mm.
Difference.
There's I did not know those things. So because of my different trial and errors and relationships and different journey, like I was like, you know what, Beethoven, you got to give yourself a chance.
Mm.
I did not know I needed to do all this work. I did not know I it's not even needing to. I didn't know I really wanted it. I really wanted to become a better man. And what better man looks like, I started being open to hearing new information. I started being open to adjust certain things in my life. I started listening to the I started listening to people that I was involved with consistency in the same story. I was like, oh, maybe I should consider that. If
Right.
everyone's telling me this, there's consistency on it, and they don't even know each other. I need to start reflecting on that. In business, there between relationships and business and family, I really had to go through the pruning season
Mm-hmm.
and really, really be open to hear my brother and my ex-wife talking about, well, you're so black and white. Like, what do you mean I'm so black and white? I thought that's what we're supposed to do. Well, you gotta have some type of leniency. And like Mike used to always tell me about empathy and all these things. I didn't know I needed all those things. Like, what do you mean you ain't doing this? Oh, you're done. I ain't messing with you. You crazy. Or you're a failure. Grace. I didn't know none of those things even matter.
Right.
I was so
Yep.
action results that I did not know that you should let a child be a child and give him some guidance, but still let. There's so many things that I've learned in my journey, man. But definitely emptying up my cup and really being open to get filled back up with with all the truth, your truth, their truth.
Mm.
Man, listen. Yeah, I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah, we've discussed that. We've said getting all those different perspectives, everyone's truth. That's kind of how you start to bring about wisdom. Because
Mm.
now you're seeing it from that empathy word, that E word that you mentioned. Now you're getting a chance to kind of see it because we're not machines, right? Sometimes we act like it, so we get in
Mm-hmm.
this rigid way and we can do it. All three gentlemen on this screen can be very machine like and rigid in our ways because we get focused and we're just like, well, this has to get done. Now, when we take a step back, we get a chance to take a step back with our wisdom. We say, okay, well, everyone's not machines. Everyone's not having a certain kind of day, and everyone's not just going to do it because they might, our zero, our 15 might be their 100. You know what I mean? So we take that into consideration now, and then we move forward. Brother, you spoke about earlier was just that being still piece.
Mm.
I think with the pruning season, the unloading all these different narratives and these stories, this comes through the method of self-reflection. And it's hard to self-reflect when you're in constant motion or in constant
Mm.
thinking about the future or what it is that you don't have or everything, all these burdens that you have. You can't take the time out to say, okay, is this serving me or is this serving the purpose that I'm going for? I still want to go back to that economics without power or power without economics. It just there's something there. And what happens is that you can have a movement, right? Like these brothers had a movement without so-called economics, but that movement gets hijacked really quick by big bank really takes little bank. So you can
Facts.
you can come out with something that makes sense. Black Lives Matter. That makes sense if for me to say it. But when hundreds of millions of dollars gets involved, all of a sudden this same movement takes on a different thought process. Now we're talking about different kind of things and different kind of values and different kind of understanding. Now it's no longer helping the cities that this thing is supposed to help. You got people who are buying mansions out here with the money, and so on and so forth, and pushing a different agenda because it went from this to that when it could have blossomed here. But because you don't have the economics and probably don't understand it, it doesn't go that far. And I also heard a brother Charleston White mention that someone told him once when he was doing his program called Hype. I think Hype is something about helping youth development. And he said that someone told him that if you don't make money with your program, you will becoming frustrated. An advocate or an activist without money gets frustrated really quick. You start to become frustrated with the system. You start the so-called system. You start to become frustrated with the people that you're also helping. So because they can't move fast enough, and you don't have enough money to withstand them not moving, right? So now that's also frustrating. The brother spoke quickly what I would call code switching. This I need to be this Beethoven. I need to be Hove. I need to be Beto. I need to be. So now I'm just switching. You know what I mean? Depending on the people that I'm around, and that's not really authenticity. I,
Mhm.
what we have to strive for is to be able to whoever we're around to gain some type of understanding. Like, oh, that's what we need, and for them to understand us and for us to understand them. Normally, it's better for us to understand them first before we understand them, but not completely switching to, oh, I'm not. These aren't values of mine because I'm with this certain set of people. No, these values are throughout. I'm aligned with these values. These are my standards. However, how I communicate that may be different if I even communicate it at all. There's times when I just need to take a step back and really, my new standard is like 80-20. 80% of the time I'm listening. 20% of the time I may be 10% of the time I may be engaging. The other 10% of the time I might be trying to figure out how to get up out of there because I don't because I no longer need to be there in that certain situation. But most of our time should be seeking to understand, and once you understand people and they know you understand, now you communicate that you understand. Now, maybe at this point in time, I can give some information if they're even open to it. So now that's a good question I'm asking. Like, are you open to this information? This is huge self-reflection. And I want to jump back into the self-reflection part, and even emotional intelligence, but more so in regards to self-reflection, is to have people around you that help to make you see some of these blind spots that you may have. So this is one of the things that I enjoy about our group is that I'll get on the phone with Joel, and Joel will listen, and in his own way, mostly through questioning, he'll, he'll allow me to see certain things that I may not have seen. This community beacon, when we have these conversations, allows me to hours later, the next morning, I'm just buzzing like, okay, now I understand where the brother is really, really coming from. And then jumping on the call with Beethoven to say, brother, am I crazy?
Yes.
Yeah. And for him to be able to say, yeah, you tripping on this one.
No,
Or or
go
maybe
ahead, man.
not. Or maybe not, right? But it's just to have that conversation. This is, the gathering is a place for that as well, for where you can say something and it's not judgmental, but make an observation. Because I'm not judging you because I don't think that what you're saying is your perspective is wrong. I'm just saying, have you seen it from a different spot? And for brothers to say, well, Mike, you in your feelings right now.
Tripping.
You're in your feelings. This is such and such. You may need to take some time, and I might be mad with the brother. I'm gonna call you back and hang up
and
the
come back
phone
and get more noise.
but send that text message. Hey, brother, I heard what you said, Joe. Yeah. This is something that I need to take a look at. So these are all ways that we can work on our power of self reflection. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I want to touch on one thing, man. You guys know when I can't hold nothing, and I've been trying to write things down because you brothers are so professional at this. I'm not there yet. God is still working on me.
Almost 3 years, man. We've been we've been working
Yeah,
on it every
I'm
week for
not there
three
yet.
years.
God is working on me still. So, but there's a very, very, very important piece I must share. Or I want to share to make sure to add more value to a brother. And you started this off with me. God bless your mom's soul. You talked to me about grieving, and I remember you told me, you got to sit in it. Don't
Mm,
run. Don't. You can do whatever you think you could do. Do not leave it. But this is a game changer. Grieving people while they're alive, it's another level. I can't say there's a more or less or whatever it is, but I believe you have to find a way to grieve people while they're alive and work on your sanity and work on your closure, work on healing, work on. There's so many layers of grieving with people that's still alive that I don't still don't have the recipe. I don't get it twisted like I know the recipe now. But one of the notes and one of the things that I could definitely say is super important is to actually sit in it. Work on it, deal with it, get paper out, write it down, whatever it is that you need to do. Because grieving is a real thing.
yeah,
But grieving people that's still alive and learning self-control and because you don't realize how much you affect people. You don't in that journey of grieving while somebody's still alive, man. So I definitely want to give anyone that's dealing with that time of grieving somebody that passed away, or Mike could speak more about that because he's the one that gave me the information. But grieving with someone still alive is something that it's a journey. It's a
yeah,
real thing. And being patient with yourself and literally having conversation with yourself and understand there's no right or wrong way to do it, but you're gonna have to deal with it. Because you can't just skip grieving. You're you could try all you want. It's gonna come back in season 3.
return,
I can
return.
almost
It's a
guarantee you
returning guest.
it's a, it's a returning guest that for some reason that thing just pop up. You're like, I didn't even write you in the script. How
Mm,
you came back? But I promise you, man, grieving is something that you must deal with. I advise you to deal with. You don't have to, but season 3 is gonna show up. Go ahead, my fellas.
Man, B, you dropping bars again.
yeah,
I'm a rapper now, Joe.
You
Call me, call me MC Ho.
yeah, I definitely appreciate it though, man. Listen, man, this whole piece about, showing up.
hmm
Like that's a real thing right there. Being present. I know that we've been
Mm,
discussing that for a little bit of time now, and there's a lot of different things that come up that keep you from being present, that keep all of us from being present. And sometimes it's in the midst of that that it becomes difficult for us to get exactly what we need. We got a song that we sing sometimes when we're in church, and we'll say, "Come on and get from the Lord what you need." And a lot of people, they miss it, and it's because they're not there. Like the body is there, but their mind is somewhere else. And so you miss the thing that you came looking for. And I think that goes back to what you were talking about, that focus and being able to really curate your focus. Like if I could leave something with the men and the sisters that might be watching this, it's just like, hey, listen, you know, take that time for reflection, figure out who you want to be.
yeah,
Like look at Beethoven right now as an example. This man is giving you the keys to how to get there. Earlier, you said something about reflection. You was like, take 2 or 3 minutes. So it's an ongoing process. That's what I picked up from what you
100%.
said. This isn't something that you wait till the end of the year, 365 days, be like, oh, let me just check on it. Not saying that you shouldn't. At the end of the year, maybe you should and revise a new plan, but there's a daily time,
yeah,
slow down, Ask yourself, you know, who am I? Did I do what I believe in? Am I acting the way I believe? Am I contributing to the things that I believe in, to the people that I love, to the people that I care about? Have I showed up for them today? I think that that's real, because one of the things you opened up with was that at the end of the road, sometimes you can find yourself being alone. Like, that's not why I do what I do. And you were pointing out, it's like the people that you're doing it for. Ooh, that hits hard. Like, okay, my big why is who? It's my wife. It's my children. Well, hold on. Don't you got them with you? Yeah. So then why you keep leaving them to get to them?
Mm.
And this is the reason why so many people lose along the way. Because by the time they get to where they desire to be, they're so successful in what they got, and they haven't reflected along the way that now they got what they got and they realize it wasn't what they wanted in the first place.
Finding what they wanted. Mm-hmm.
So I love that. This being present is a very real thing. It's a very real thing, and taking that time for self-reflection. And this is emotional intelligence. This is emotional intelligence. You can't get that lesson in school. They don't teach it like that. They can tell you emotional intelligence is when such and such and such and such, but you got to feel it. There's a burning inside of your heart. And then there's an absence inside of your heart. When you get that absence and you can't put a finger on it, you can't place it, because it's like death on the inside, but you're still alive. And it's like, you're missing the thing that you're supposed to have. And if we stay focused on these tangible things too long, we will go days, months, years. And it goes back to what you were saying earlier, B. It's like you got a hunger after that. And it goes back to what Mike was talking about, that question that he asked. How much focus and energy are you putting into your perspective, what you believe in, your value system? Because if you ain't got a value system, and B, you hit on that too, talking about the standards. We ain't talking about the standards of a business, the standards of life, and not the standards of quote unquote life. It's the standards of my life, the standards of Beethoven life, the standards of Mike life, the standards of you, the listener, the viewer, your life. What are your standards? Because you can be whatever you want to be. You can have whatever you want to have. But if what you want to be and what you want to have does not align with who you are and who you are becoming, then you are fighting a false battle, and you are traveling up an empty pathway. There is nothing there for you at the top. Because when you get to the top and you got the money, you got the house, you got the cars, you got the ability to do whatever you want, and you ain't got the real thing that you want, your wife, your kids, you ain't got your friends, you ain't got nothing. Everybody wants a dime for you to do anything, and you ain't got nothing. All of a sudden, you realize that those trophies are empty, man.
Empty trophies. That might be a whole book, Joe. I want my percentage off that. But listen, I want to add, because I got to make sure as we keep on adding value, man, I want to get to the money part. I know we're talking about trophies and empty
Let's
trophies,
go.
but I think it's important for me to get this value, because I've learned so much in my journey of becoming this multimedia mogul.
Yeah.
Sounds good. It sounds really good.
Yeah.
I advise everyone to start a media company in their family. I know it sounds crazy, but just study how the world is shifting. Your children play video games all day long. What's going to happen? They really enjoy this thing called a video game. Conversation that you guys are having as the beacon, the community beacon. Serve whatever it is that you do. I believe, just like I believe every family should have an LLC in their home, multiple LLCs. I think people should start thinking of designing a multimedia agency within their family and getting their own YouTube platform, getting the foundation in line, starting your own YouTube platform, creating your own media outlet, and then start filling in the stories in the gap. If your son plays video games all day, have him go live, have him play the video games. If you have information value you want to bring out to people, start bringing those things into it. I just think multimedia, live streaming media, which is podcasting, radio, television, whatever, is going to continuously keep on growing. It's not that, oh, podcasting is hot now, like it's going to be gone in the future. People thought TV was going to do that. People thought radio was going to do that. It's never going to stop. It's just another form of getting content. The world is shifting. AI is real. The digital boom is going to keep on growing and getting faster and stronger. I think we all have a story. We all have Instagram. We all have, like, there's ways of maximizing that platform in so many ways, man. People have no idea. If you specialize in something, you should start a YouTube platform and educate people on it. If you are great at whatever it is, create some form of multimedia platform within your home and find avenues where you could earn from it. For example, if you're a barber, get a live streaming platform in your barbershop and let conversations happen that people want to sit on that platform and learn. You know what you're going to get sponsored from? The alcohol company that you use, the Clippers company that you use. All these are opportunities to earn while you're going to be at the barbershop anyways. You're going to gossip at the barbershop. You're going to do all these things. Please start a multimedia platform. If you're a mechanic and you specialize in brakes, start talking about brakes every day and create a platform for brakes. You'd be surprised how many brake companies want to sponsor you. Film you putting an engine together. Whatever. If you're a cook, if you specialize in cooking, film you cooking every chance you get. You'd be surprised. If you're in a banking, financing, you have to create a multimedia platform in your home. The world is shifting quickly. It's going to keep on shifting and growing. But the business that I'm in and the information that I have, I'm blown away from how many people have no clue what's happening in this world. I'm like, I still get, like, I'm going to a conference next week. I have a couple conferences I'm going to this month in August because I'm always going to get more information. I try my best to give it to the people, of course, my friends and family. I try my best, but on this platform, I definitely want to tell people, man, start some type of, at least purchase your domain, at least purchase your name on YouTube, on Gmail and YouTube. Just start having those infrastructure ready. So there's the infrastructure side, there is the distribution side, like StreamYard or YouTube or RSS feed and all these things. And then there is the business side of it, which is sponsorship. Like this show, as you grow, you might get a company like, I don't want to minimize you guys just to BET, but BET might say, you know what, I want to put this show on my platform because you guys are bringing big value into the community. Your audience is there. It's great content. You could get a licensing deal with BET. You get a licensing deal with Netflix and so on and so forth. Like, there's real money, there's real business in the multimedia space. Media advertisement is been a big business for a long time. Where you drive, the signage you see when you're driving down 95, signage you see in building, advertisement, sponsorship, multimedia is a business that is just an addition to what you do. You might love cutting grass. Turn that camera on. Your grass cutting business just grew to another capacity. There's so many different arenas, but when we're talking about infrastructure, focus on live streaming, focus on building your YouTube or some type of media platform that distribute your content. and then start developing the business of advertisement and sponsorship. You're a new mom. Start a new mom platform. You'd be surprised how many diaper companies want to be involved. Like right now, I'm in the process of developing. I have about 15 shows that I'm working on right now. And what we started doing was actually niching down and hyper focused shows that talk to a certain community. So now you don't have to have the high numbers like 20,000 people viewing. You can have a community of 300 people. And that sponsor want to connect with those 300 people because those 300 people are buying life insurance.
Mm.
So please, 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 if I could give anybody value in the business model that I'm in, is start a media platform in your home, create a YouTube in your home, develop, bring value to information. Your son that plays that video game, let him play the video game, but turn that live streaming on. It's just so many different ways, man. But I would definitely love to answer any questions if anybody have anything on that. But look at media. It's just super important. Is this chat on? Am I supposed to be? Oh, tell people.
This
Oh,
dude,
man.
Tell them how
Sorry,
they can
guys.
get in contact with you, man. I mean, you basically just
Oh,
told people what you do, but tell them
yeah.
what you
Contact
do. How they
Mike.
can get in contact.
Contact Mike Seville. He's my manager, and he'll get back with. I mean, I'm on social media, man. Beethoven, go hard, pause. Beethoven Francois, and all platforms. You know, am I supposed to give like my phone number and email also?
Yeah.
I'm joking. No, Joe. No, you're out of control. No, but fellas, man, I really want to bring value to that. People really need to look into whatever service provider that you are, whatever you specialize in. Think about turning that camera on, some way, somehow. It's
I
going to
love
be
it.
very important, man. The world is going digital, and please study AI. Instead
That's
of
the
going against
craziest
it,
thing. Yeah.
understand how much value AI in my company. We use it every day.
Yep.
Every day we use AI in some form or matter. Like, please look into AI. Don't be afraid of it. Just like people were afraid of the internet at one time. Study it, man. You're gonna be. Don't become a blockbuster.
In
You will get close.
the Netflix world.
In the Netflix world, it just doesn't work, people.
I love it,
Fellas,
man. This has been awesome. Oh, there it is.
Jesus Christ, Joe. Sheesh. Thanks, Joe.
I got you, B.
Wait. What are you about to show? You never know. I might have something ignorant on there.
Oh
I'm joking.
man,
I'm
this
done.
is
I'm
all.
done.
It's already out there. It's too late.
Yeah,
It's
too
too
late now.
late. It's too
Yeah,
late,
it's
man.
it's
It's too
definitely
late. We can see
nothing
whatever we
ignorant
want
on there,
now.
man.
Oh man,
Facts.
there we go. Right there. That's it.
Appreciate it, Joe.
Yeah. That's it, man. That's it. Appreciate you, man.
Guys, I think, always I'm so blessed and grateful to have these brothers around. Like, I get a chance to be with this greatness all the time and interact with it. And I hope that you all are curating something at least similar. I know it's hard to get on this level, but at least it's something similar. But I'm blessed to have these brothers. Shouts out to Lou. We didn't say Lou's name in this thing. Shouts out to Lou. Lou's got What's Next
What's
podcast.
next?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he's entering to his newest phase of life this month.
I thought he
So
retired. Well, I
no,
don't know what
yeah.
Lou's doing.
Well, I think this month or next month, in the next couple of months, Lou's entering to that newest phase of life. He's also doing really dope things with What's Next podcast. So check him out. We appreciate you all here from the Community Beacon. We appreciate the brother for coming in and giving us his time and putting his phone on Do Not Disturb. So now I know when he gets off, he has like 50 people to call back. But other than that, man, we love you. And we'll see you next week, man. Peace.
God bless, brothers.